How you doing? How you been? What's going on? What's good? How you getting it in? Body getting it funny. What's going on, people? What's going on, people? Oh, hope everybody's having a good weekend and stuff, and you know, it's Saturday, so, you know, I want to talk about something. Now, this is what happened. I was on my news feed, it went up on, you know, YouTube and stuff, and it was about, transgenders going on interviews, you know, to guide to get people to, you know, understand where you're coming from in life, you know, give them a better understanding as far as, you know, tell them your story in reference to, you know, the things that we go through, and, you know, try to get people to understand that, you know, the world is full of many different things inside the world. You know, and the sad part about it is I got this only ear thing. Anyway, so the sad thing about it is that I learned that some people were being ambushed onto a show, I'm assuming for ratings and stuff, or just for reaction. Now this is the thing. I watched a couple of transgenders, and I watched this woman who was, she identifies as lesbian. Basically what happened was, the guy invited them on the show, and it was basically to give you a better understanding, you know, the transsexuals and the things that they go through, and all the, you know, the obstacles they have to bear as far as, you know, being accepted in the world, and, you know, just trying to push through to just try to get people to, you know, to understand where they're coming from. So they got on the show, and he hit them with the Christian thing. Now, this is my thing, the reason why I'm making this video. If you are a transgender woman, or you're a person that's in the LGBT, before you go on these shows and stuff, you really need to do research on these people. You have to understand, everybody is not for the LGBT. And the reason why they bring you there is because they want to make a spectacle of you. They want to have an audience that's sit up there that's basically waiting there to watch you walk through the door, so they can basically just bash you as far you have been invited to a form of entertainment, and you don't even know it. So of course they're gonna throw different things at you. They're gonna watch to see your reaction, because the whole purpose is that they want to get you upset. They want to, you know how they sometimes they do on TV and stuff, they try to get you to get all upset, riled up and stuff like that, because basically going to use it as far as getting their views. And, you know, bad publicity makes the best publicity, because people will talk about it longer. Now, there was a couple of transgender women that got up there and everything, and it seems like they was kind of, they got a little upset and stuff. They handled themselves the best way that they could. You know, due to the situation at hand, you know, they handled themselves, you know, the best way that they could, as far as, you know, being respectful to the person and stuff like that. You know, me, myself, I sit back and I watch the whole thing, because I know bullshit when I see one. Now, if you're bringing me to your show and stuff like that, and you want to talk about issues, and you're bringing up things that make my stomach kind of go, you know, get that tight knot, because I know what you're asking me is like really to the left. This is what you do. You can listen to me, or you don't have to listen to me, because you already know I'm a jaded bitter bitch, and I always feel like everybody's up to something, but that's just my personal opinion. This is my personal. I just look at something, because I'll take that later. Anyway, so what happened was, the guy started, they was on the interview and everything, and the guy started talking and stuff like that. The man said, well, Bruce Jenner is the man, and the transsexual said, no, her name is now Caitlyn Jenner. And the interviewer said, well, he decided he wants to go back messing with women. So at that point, you realize you're being ambushed into a show that does not respect you. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want people to do their research, as far as you want to go on these little interviews and stuff with these people that really not for you. You really need to know what you're walking into. It's almost like walking into a room full of people who hate certain races or whatever the case may be, and they all wait behind the door just to hurt you. Now the thing about it was that he started bringing up things, and he was like, well, do you feel like you're a sinner and stuff like that, and you know, within the church and stuff. Now, see me myself, he would never bring me on this show because first of all, I would never go. And the reason why is because he could never use the terms of the things he used. See, I always feel as though sometimes people look for people that are not as strong as far as being a bitch. And I can be a very bitch when it comes down to it, because he was asking about the Christian thing. And what you do is when you get guys or someone that you're in a situation, just my personal opinion, when you realize you walk into an interview as someone that's really not there to help you, and then basically they'll make a mockery of you and to make a joke out of you, any question they ask you, you turn it around and make it about them. Okay, I'll give you a prime example. He was like, well, how do you feel about the Christians? Are you a Christian? Are you Baptist? What are you? So I'm just me. Well, are you a Christian? I say, well, you mean like the Christian, like the priest that molests little boys inside the church? That sit up inside the church all the time talking about how homosexual is wrong, yet sit inside and molesting young boys and stuff? Of course they go, oh, well, that's not what I mean. You know, I'm talking about a reference to you. So that's what I'm talking about too. You know, I'm talking about a reference to, that's what y'all do. So, but what about, you know, you LGBT people? Well, that's not what we do. You know, we're people that see things a lot other way, but you see things that way. So I'm trying to help you with your story. This interview is not about it, it's about you. You know, how many little boys you been molested? Because it seems like you're very much into, you know, the Christian value. Have you ever practiced the Christian value? Are you practicing it now? Do you have a direction while you're looking at me? Do you feel certainly a little turned on? Is there something about me that you like? You turn the tables and make him feel very uncomfortable with what he's trying to do to you. You flip that. Just my opinion. You know, and the thing about it is that I realize a lot of times people can dish it out, but they can't take it. But when you hand them back sarcasm, they can't deal with it. So, when you know, man made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay. Say, you're right. Oh my goodness, you're so right. You know, I thought about that before. He made Adam and Eve. So let me just get this straight. You know, this is what you say to the view. Let me just get this straight. So God used Eve. He took a rib from himself and he made Eve. So Adam and Eve made a baby, and then they made a baby. So there was just a whole bunch of incest going on, wasn't it? He's going to think, what do you mean incest? Incest, because if them two were together and they kept recreating, evidently the brothers and sisters were having sex with each other as well. That's called incest, right? Because you want to pull out the Bible. I mean, pull it all the way out. I mean, just pull it all the way out. He's going to look at you. So I got a question for you. If God created Jesus, who created God? Where did God come from? Because this is the thing. You're only passing that information from a book that you really have no knowledge of. Because if this is why I feel like this, if you could explain to me of everything about why is there black people, why are there white people, why are there Chinese, why we just can't be one race? Why do we have to be so different? Why do all women have to be tall? Why do all women got to be short? Why do all men got to be short? Why do men got to be tall? Why do you have to have small hands? Why do you got big hands? Why do some men don't have to be endowed? Why some men that are short are well endowed? Why some women are fat? Why is these things happening? Because if you want everything to make sense, you know, make it all sense. Why is there cancer? You know, why is there liver disease? Why is it people can have a heart attack? Why do people have strokes? You know, it's because it's in the Bible, right? Because if you could explain everything that comes from the Bible, explain all these things, why is a person born with multiple difficulty? You know what I'm saying? Why is all these different ailments why are we not born the proper way? Why do we have all these illnesses? Why are people born blind? Why are people born deaf? Why? Because if you want to share the thing of someone else being different, share it all the way around. Because he don't have the answers. The thing is that I get so tired every time somebody wants to find a certain kind of way to put someone else down for their entertainment, because you didn't bring them there as far as understanding. And my whole purpose is this, is that, you know, I want you to be more aware of what you're walking into. You're walking into the lion's den. And when you're walking into the lion's den, you have to be very aware of what you're doing. You know, and my whole thing is that I just don't get people. And I always tell people all the time, and I say it again, you cannot make someone understand where you're coming from if they really don't care. Sometimes you're wasting your time. You want to fight them, you want to argue with them, but they don't care. We have people in this world that really don't care about your struggles. but they do care about making you into a joke. But they will not allow you to make them into the joke, you know, as far as that, you know. And it really bothered me and stuff, because I felt like it was ambush, and he just did it. He just loved it. He wanted a reaction, and some of them reacted, some of them didn't. You know, he called them men and called them that. Listen, this is my thing. He said, you was born a man and then you decide you want to be a woman because that's what you was born with the male anatomy and stuff like that. Why are you doing it? Why are y'all doing this show? Like, why would you beat yourself to go there? And then you sit back and you try to give a respectful answer. You have to understand, if he can dish it out, you better take it. Now, if they ask me, so, well, Raven, you know, are you still have your penis? Do you, will you have your penis? Let me teach you a word. It's called belligerent. When you act like, let me tell you something. In order to go to these interviews and stuff like that, you have to learn one thing. But listen, I'm a little, you know. You have to learn how to act like a goddamn fool. Just be honest with you. When you realize that you have been ambushed or something, you do no longer try to be respectful, because basically they really don't care about your struggles and stuff. They brought you there to be a joke. So you have to be belligerent. You have to act like a damn fool. Every question they ask, you just answer with just the most sarcasm type of way you can. You know, because it's like, well, Raven, when you were born, you know, you decided you wanted to be a woman and stuff. Because that's the question that always comes up. You know, you decided you was going to become a woman and stuff, and, you know, you're going to live your life as a woman and stuff. And, you know, how did you know that you was going to be a woman? Because when you were born with a penis, and then you decided that, you know, you wasn't going to live your life as a man, you live as a woman. How do you feel about that? And do you look at him? You'll say, you know what? I'm sitting here, and I done masturbated like 3 times, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at your cock between your legs, and I'm just thinking, is it really big or is it small? And he's going to look at you, he's going to feel a little uncomfortable. So you just go, is it small? You look like you got a little penis. Because the way your hands are shaped, you look like a small penis. He's going to be like, well, that's not the question. Oh, sure it is. I bet you're a bottom. Do you suck penises? Look like you got blowjob lips. Look at you. Oh, I bet you can make a good corn of them lips, can't you? Look at you, girl. And of course he's gonna get upset. He's gonna get mad because he's like, what you mean, girl? See, you heard me, girl. I know my sisters when I see them. Girl, you ain't front me. We trying to dress up like a boy. You know you all cut over there look like a little fucking lady. You're a ladybug, girl. He's gonna get upset. Normally I understand he's gonna ask you to leave. But you have to learn how to be an asshole when a person shows you they no longer care about your story. That's when the asshole shows up. This is my opinion. You can be very polite and stuff and just, you know, try to get them to understand. But I feel as though if they put you there just to make a mockery of you, just don't do it. Well, you can be respectful like a good person and just say, you know what, enough of this interview, I'm just going to walk away. But then you're going to feel bad when you get home. You're like, well, I just can't believe what they said. So what you say is, you know, just get real belligerent. So you look like a bottom, honey. You say, what is a bottom? So you know what it is. Look at you. You look like you don't even wipe good. You're a ladybug. But you got a breast pumps on your titties, don't you? Just throw him all the way off guard. Because at this point, he's off balance. He's not going to know how to handle it. He's not going to know how to answer. And if you're really from the LGBT, honey, you know you're supposed to have a mouth on you, a fierce tongue. But anyway, at the end of the day, this is only for people who realize that you've been ambushed into an interview that was not. You was not brought there to tell your story. You was brought there to be made a joke of. This is my opinion. You know, and I learned that within a lot of women and stuff. And I'm not saying everybody does this. And, you know, I'm just saying when it comes down to certain things where you realize you're being ambushed, same thing with women. I've learned that as well. You know, women say, well, I don't get this problem with women and stuff. I just don't. You know, my catalog of women is a lot more different. Not saying they won't do it, because they will. But my catalog with women is a lot more different. It's much more different because when I think of women, they actually have pulled my hand and made me stand up and fight for my rights. So I just see things a little bit more different. But, you know, it just takes a person that's me. But, you know, I just use a woman as an example because I have had a woman say something to me, you know, you want to be me, you know, you want to be me, you want to be a woman like me. I said, no, Ma, it's not all about you. Just because you went and got your surgery and I couldn't get mine, she's going to get upset. She said, what you mean, surgery? I said, I knew you used to have a penis. I can tell by the way your pussy's cut. She said, what do you mean? She'll get mad. She'll get upset. She'll probably pull her pants down and say, look, I got a pussy. I say, look, only a real man would pull down his pants to show a pussy, because only a real man would do that, because a real woman would never do that. She would just walk off. This is just me, but see, then again, I am a black angry bitch. But anyway, at the end of the day, I'm a jaded bitter bitch. But I'm just saying, I've said it, I'm not gonna lie. You know, but I don't have those problems with women, and I do not have those problems when it comes to men as well. But you know, my thing is that I avoid a lot of confrontation because I don't feel as though it's necessary. But I do feel as though if you're in an interview with someone who really brought you there to ambush you and is not giving you what you want as far as letting you know your struggles, learn how to act like a goddamn fool. And if you don't, then that's on you. If you want to sit there and still continue to answer questions when you realize that you're being brought there for the wrong reason, go for it. Anyway, that being said, I would love to hear you feel about this one. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk to you about it. It kind of bothered me a lot, you know, when I was watching them, and they was felt uncomfortable. And you know, you have people sign on to hate on the LGBT, and especially trans women, you have them hate on you. But at the end of the day, he making a video with his butt getting fucked, and he's on Tumblr, and some man nutting up inside of him like he can't catch no disease, to go home to a female and try to play that he hate gay people, but yet still he up there making Tumblr videos on Tumblr with him getting fucked in the butt, and yet still kissing that woman all in her mouth after he done had his mouth all over her dick, all over the man's dick. Or some woman who's been eating another woman's pussy, kissing all over that man, but he'll probably love it. Anyway, that being said, I know it's a little to the left, but it just made me upset. Anyway, that being said, thank you for watching. I want to say I love you, and thank you for watching. Catch the raid.